Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very special webinar on mindfulness. I'm your host, Sherry Branson. I'm now joined by Kevin Davis, the president of Kevin Davis Insurance. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Sherry. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Doing well. How are you?
I am doing really well. I'm looking forward to this topic. It's one of those topics that has been very meaningful to me probably about 5 years now, and I'm glad to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, this is really exciting, something really different and unique today. And we're going to talk about mindfulness for people who may have heard of it before, or some people may have never heard of it. And Kevin, I know that a lot of big companies are using this program now, or using this technique, like Google, Apple, Intel, Goldman Sachs, and we're doing it as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because that's where I learned about it first. In fact, they had an article recently in Time Magazine about it. I've been doing it for over 5 years, and I've been implementing it in my office for the past about 6 weeks now. I've been having mindfulness classes inside the office here, and I think it's been fascinating for me because I've been involved in it, but the people here really is taking to it.
Absolutely. Oh, great. So you're getting a good reaction then, Kevin, in the office.
Incredible reaction. I'm at the point in six things, so been interesting, very interesting.
Wonderful. Great. Okay, that's fantastic. And what is our goal today, Kevin? What are we trying to accomplish?
Yeah, and basically what we want to do today is to explain how mindfulness can avoid this office burnout. We're talking about office burnout, and using mindfulness, we can really start to deal with things like negative emotions in the workplace stress, and just be able to communicate more effectively.
Absolutely. We can all use a little bit more of that for sure. And now, Kevin, for people who maybe have not really heard that much about mindfulness, can you explain to everybody what exactly it is?
Sure. This is the definition. There's a lot of different definitions, but the person who really people follow is John Kabat-Zinn. He's the guy who put together the mindful stress reduction program in the University of Massachusetts about 30 or 40 years ago, and people have been following his lead. And he's basically saying that mindfulness is awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment without judgment.
Okay, that's a great quote. Okay, so that's what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be paying attention in the present moment without judgment. Great.
Exactly.
And great. So we're talking about being aware by paying attention. You can explain that a little bit more, Kevin? Get into that in more detail.
Yeah. I mean, basically, think about our daily routine, right? We get up in the morning and get ready to go to work. I mean, most of us drive about an hour to get in. We get to work, we look at our 200 plus emails, we return phone calls, and we have this really hectic morning. And guess what? You haven't said hello to anybody yet.
Absolutely.
You look around, you're in your little box, and guess what? You feel isolated, you feel alone. That's where the disengagement comes from in the workplace.
All the technology.
Okay? And basically what we're doing is we're spending, just like we spend hours at our desk, right? Without interaction from many employees. But when we do get interaction, what happens? We get blamed, we get criticized, or we get ignored. I mean, that's what happens. Again, we stay in these self-contained units. We know what we need to do. We know what kind of work we need to get done. We don't move from these things. We don't talk to, not only we don't talk to the management, we don't even talk to anybody else.
You might not even say good morning to the person sitting next to you, Kevin.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, technology, as much as there's so many positive, good advantages to technology, we can do things much faster. We don't have to mail paper through the mail anymore. It's also kind of turned us into robots where our social skills are kind of taking a back burner, don't you think?
Exactly, and that's why mindfulness is really, really important. This thing, we spend most of our day going through the motion, just being on autopilot. And if we're on autopilot, guess what? We're not paying attention, we're not aware, and we're not in the present moment.
Absolutely.
Most of us go through the entire day on autopilot itself. I mean, let's look at what I did this morning. Okay, this is my morning. I wake up, I worked out, took a shower, had a little breakfast. Took me an hour and a half to go to my 12-mile trip into work.
Hour and a half to get 12 miles. That's incredible.
Exactly. I got a bunch of emails done. I made some phone calls done, and just think, most of that was on autopilot, you know.
Mhm.
And again, most of our jobs that we have, we're autopilot because again, it's most of our jobs are repetitive. We check our emails, we make our phone calls, we do some paperwork, we go back, and again, most of our jobs are repetitive and monotonous. I mean, that's our job. That's what we do.
Hmm. And Kevin, pretty soon the Google cars, they have autopilot in the Google cars and the Teslas. So, you might be pressing that autopilot button and then you won't have to think about anything. And
Exactly.
we're all task oriented. We come in, we have, like you said, our routine, we have our emails, our phone calls. We're just focused on getting the tasks done.
Yeah.
So why is this a problem though, Kevin? Because this also makes us productive, right? We're coming in, we're getting the work done. We've been doing it the same way for years. So why is it a problem?
Again, and that's a good question because again, I've been doing that same routine for since I started here with 2000. I've been doing that same routine every morning. The problem is what they are is they're routines, and routines are really basically habits that we created years ago, and we create those years ago so our mind can save energy. Our mind, it takes a lot of energy to have our mind work. The food and things we eat, most of it is to keep our minds going. So our mind does is figure out a way to create shortcuts to be more efficient. And what they do is to figure out ways for us to create habits and routine so that our mind saves energy and it saves brain power. So the question is, what is happening during the day when my mind is not focused on anything? When I'm going through the autopilot phase, what happens? Okay. And basically what happens is my mind starts to wander, you know, and when I'm on my way to work in the morning, all right, I'm not thinking about anything other than what happened yesterday, what needs to happen today, who's I'm on the phone with. And the only time I really focus in on my thoughts, the only time I'm focusing on my thought is when I make that lane change from one lane to another lane, or I'm going from the 405 to the 101. What happens then, I get focused, I get creative, I get imaginative, I'm curious to figure out how I'm going to get to this next lane. And that's the one time I turn the radio down, if I'm on the phone with people, all those things happen, you know?
Hmm.
And again, what happens though during that time, I'm either thinking about the past or thinking about the present, except for that one point in time when I'm driving down the street and I get focused. Now, when I'm thinking about the past, I get depressed. When I'm thinking about the future, it creates anxiety. And if you're doing that, if that's how you're spending most of your day, how much productive work can you do under these conditions?
So if your mind
That's,
is you're worrying about the future, I have 5 projects to do, etc., it creates anxiety. So it basically stifles you.
yeah. Only by being present can things get done effectively. What this means is that you're more engaged, you're more aware of what needs to be done, and you can make better decisions. What mindfulness does is it gives you an option to approach challenge with clarity and focus.
hmm Okay, that makes sense. Can you give us an example, Kevin?
Sure. If you think about the times when you're present, like I play sports. I love playing basketball when I was younger, and now I'm starting to play golf. And I have the best time playing golf when I'm focused and I'm present, when
Hmm.
I'm hitting the ball right. Now, what happens on the golf course, though, a lot of us, we kind of lose perspective. We start thinking about things, and then we lose our swing, and then it's not fun anymore. But you think about, like, you go shopping, right?
hmm
Okay. Now, when you go shopping, the best part about going shopping is that you're creative because you're present. When you shop, when you go to the store looking for things, you're present, so you're more creative, you're more open, you're more curious to buying things.
hmm
The same thing happens to people who are dancers or artists. Again, people who are present enjoy life more. It makes life more enjoyable.
hmm That makes
There
sense.
was a there was a study in the Journal of Human Relations where researchers wanted to see how mindfulness could really help chaotic work situations. The findings shows that the workers who were more mindful had increased job performance, were able to focus on what their customers were asking for.
Oh, okay. So it really helped them at work.
And what's interesting about the study is that being mindful helped even when workers weren't fully engaged, meaning that mindfulness had a direct link to job performance. Researchers also discovered that workplace engagement increases feelings of positivity and happiness. And they're able to really, I mean, there's a lot more things can happen just by being more mindful, you're more attentive, there's more cognitive skills there, and you can do more things at more time. You can juggle multiple things at different times.
Okay, interesting. So it helps in many ways, Kevin.
Yes, exactly.
And now, what are you seeing as far as statistics out there? You know, you talked about engagement and disengagement. Why is this necessary? Like, why do we need to use mindfulness to become more engaged?
Okay. If you look at statistics out there today, the majority of corporations are either not engaged at all or actively disengaged. Okay.
Oh, that's not good.
Actively disengaged. The disengaged employee makes up 50% of the American workforce. So 50% of the American workforce go to work every single day and are mostly invisible.
Wow.
They come to work, just get enough work done to not to get fired, but they're basically sleepwalking most of the day. Most of the day they're on autopilot, just doing enough things to not get fired.
Just to get by.
Now, the actively disengaged group, which is about 24% of them, their people are miserable. Not only they're unhappy at work, but they want to do is get other people to be unhappy with them. They usually have a bad attitude. They use social media a lot. They come to work with no energy, no enthusiasm. They're there for one thing, to make people's life worse than they are.
So basically no motivation at all, Kevin.
Exactly. And what happens is this. Every year, it's kind of interesting that the Gallup organization, the Gallup poll people, they conduct an employment engagement study. So if you want to know where this information comes from, it's called an employment engagement study by Gallup. And what they found out that this workplace disengagement costs corporations between $450 to $550 billion annually.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, $450 billion because people are disengaged in the workforce. Now, here's some interesting things when you look into it. The traditionalists, and these are people who were born before 1945 who are still working, they are the most engaged group out there with 42%.
Wow, that's interesting. They're close to retirement age, Kevin. If you're born before 1945. Yeah.
That brings them about 72 right now.
Yeah,
so,
and they're the most engaged. That's interesting.
They're the most engaged group. Now, the least engaged group are the millennials.
Oh, wow. That's a surprise.
Yeah, 55% of them are not engaged.
Oh, that's a high percentage.
Yeah, 55% are not engaged. And one final note that you probably will like here, of the people who are engaged, women are engaged about 35% of the time, where men are only 29% of the time.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Of course it does.
That's a topic for another webinar, Kevin. We could dig into why those statistics are the way they are. That's interesting. Exactly. So you're seeing generational differences and gender differences as well.
Yeah. But the reality is this: disengagement is a problem, not only in the workplace, but all around us. It's causing us to distrust our institutions, question people's characters, and beginning to create this passionate view of society. We see it every day. The bitterness grows and grows and grows, and anger over a situation we have no control over, and it really is a problem today.
Now, absolutely.
Here's the good news. The good news is that it's possible to have that balance. There's a skillful way to become more productive, satisfied, and peaceful at work. And that's what the mindfulness techniques come into play. Through mindfulness, you're able to look at workplace challenges with clarity and make better decisions when work situation arises.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. This can really help then. And now, can you explain to everybody joining us, how does it work? How would we actually use this?
All right, this is how mindfulness works. Okay, ready for this? Mindfulness focuses our attention so that we can connect directly with what's going on at the present moment. Without it, we continue to see the world through this distorted lens filled with biases, habits, and wishful thinking. Mindfulness allows us to see things as they are, not as we want them to be.
Okay, can you give an example, Kevin?
Yeah. We all know these people out there who constantly fail and constantly fail to see the cause of the problem. Okay? They constantly blame others for their poor performance instead of taking responsibility. We know these people out there. That's the problem with wishful thinking, the habits, the biases. The people out there who refuse to take responsibility for their actions. Mindfulness allows us to take care of that, to be more responsible, to be more aware, to be held accountable for your actions. Now, when we talk about mindfulness, there are two main practices of mindfulness. Number one, well, two main. There's a formal way and an informal way to practice. Okay. The formal way is called meditation. Meditation trains the mind the way going to the gym itself strengthens your body. It only requires a few minutes a day to receive the full effects. It allows you to push the pause button. Meditation allows you to push that pause button for a short period of time. It can be done by sitting, standing, walking, or lying down.
Okay, so multiple ways to do it.
Yes. Now, there's two main problems that you come across when you actually start meditating. The first is you will get sleepy. Okay? Yes.
I could see where that would happen, yes.
Oh, yes. We live in a society right now where we're sleep deprived. So it's going to be a problem for many of us. So, and again, what happens to me when I try to meditate when I go home, I tell my wife I'm going to meditate for 10, 15 minutes. Next thing you know, an hour and a half later, she wakes me up and asks me, how was my meditation?
How was your nap?
Exactly. So now the best way to avoid this is that if you decide to do it, is do it first thing in the morning after you wake up, after you have your cup of coffee, just sit down and meditate for a few minutes. The second problem you have is doubt. We doubt that we're doing it correctly. We doubt that it's working. I'm wasting my time. Doubt is a major problem. The one thing to do, remember, is that you have a goal. You are motivated to do this, and you are doing it the right way. Don't worry about if you're doing it right or not. If you're sitting down and you're being quiet, you are doing it the right way. It takes time. You have to be patient.
It's practice like anything else.
Exactly. Now, the second way is an informal practice. An informal practice is just how we approach our everyday life, how we focus our attention on a situation we're currently involved in and stay aware. Mindfulness trains our mind to be calmer, happier, and more peaceful.
Okay. And can you give us an example, Kevin? How would we do it the informal way?
Okay. If you look at when we're eating, okay, when we eat our food, we currently have no idea what we ate. Okay. People who just had lunch, most people don't even know what they ate. Some people don't remember they ate lunch or not. They forget to go to lunch. However, by being mindful, the food tastes better, you eat less of it, and you remember what you ate. Now, I'm going to give you an experiment tonight. This is an experiment for everybody who's watching tonight. Okay. Tonight, when you're having dinner, I want you to eat with your non-dominant hand and just be with the experience.
Okay.
Now, what do you think the difference is going to be?
Well, I'm probably going to make a mess because my non-dominant hand is kind of weak. It's a little weak. Probably make a mess, but also eat slower and pay attention to the food more because, I'm going much slower and being much more careful.
And that's being mindful. See, what happens is when you eat slower, you'll notice the colors of the food, you know the taste of the food, you know what you're eating. And if you use your non-dominant hand, it's going to take more of an effort. So now you're present while you're eating. Don't forget, most times we're eating our food, we're not present. We're worrying about what happens, especially at lunchtime. Because we worry about the process we need to do.
We're worried about getting back to the office and eating fast.
Exactly. So take your time and you'll experience, and that is informal mindfulness. It's when you're taking your time and being present at the moment.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And can you talk about different mindfulness ways to improve workplace productivity, Kevin?
Okay, this is where we're at right now. What I talk about here is there are three ways that we're going to talk about that mindfulness improves workplace productivity. It starts with choosing, and again, it's making the choice to become present, to make conscious choices about being aware and how it looks and feels in the moment. Once that choice is made, mindfulness can help you reduce stress, deal with difficult emotions, and improve your communication skills. Okay?
Sounds good.
That's what we're talking about. So, number one, ready for it?
I'm ready.
Mindfulness reduce stress. All right. One of the most widely known benefits of mindfulness is that it reduces stress. When we talk about John Kabat-Zinn, person who person who really made mindfulness popular. Yes, sure. What he did was he took a group of pain patients, people who had difficulty with pain, people who had difficulty with stress, And we used mindfulness-based programs over an 8-week period. And over that 8-week period, what happened was they determined that after 8 weeks that people will be either less stressful or be able to handle their stressful situation, painful situation a lot better. These people who that John Kabat-Zinn worked with, all the doctors gave up. All the doctors said, you can't help these people. It doesn't work. Now, mindfulness meditation doesn't reduce the phone calls or the emails. All it does is help you to react to them a little bit better than you have in the past.
It helps you control your reaction to things that would normally stress you out.
That's what we're talking about. Those who practice mindfulness, you'll see a calmness in them, allow them to be open and curious, to come up with informed, balanced decisions, and the response to stress itself gets less and less over time.
That makes sense.
When you're stressed out, you're less likely to, when you're stressed out, when you're less stressed itself, you're less likely to overreact and overthink the situation. Because we all have a problem with overreacting and overthinking the situation. You're able to listen and respond to things that actually is going on.
Okay. Rather than just reacting quickly, you take your time and you don't get, you make a more balanced decision rather than just reacting to it. Makes sense.
Okay. Let me give you an example. When you are stressed out, your brain reacts to being stressed out. Let's say you're stressed out now because you have a deadline at work and you haven't met the deadline at work. Okay. Your brain is stressed out. Your brain is sending a message to your body telling you, guess what? You're experiencing something unpleasant right now. So you need protection. So as soon as we feel like expression of fate, we have that whole fight, flight thing going on in our brain that says, uh-oh, we need to be protected right now. We experience something unpleasant. We need to be protected. So now you're ready and you keep aware that danger is nearby. You know, this is something that's been going on for our entire lives in terms of what's going on with our life, what's happening.
The fight or flight syndrome.
Exactly. So now all that stuff is going on. How effective can you be at work?
Not much. Not if you're stressing out and you're worried and highly anxious. You're not going to get much done. You're going to be more focused. Your energy is going to go towards the anxiety.
Exactly. Now, if you were to practice mindfulness regularly, we're now looking at someone who can recognize the situation, let go of it, and see it what it really is.
Absolutely. Okay. So it's like taking a step back, basically, and calming down.
Yes, exactly. So number 2 is dealing with difficult emotions. Okay. We know that practicing mindfulness meditation can help regulate our emotions just by being aware at the present moment. See, the problem with these difficult emotions is that we latch onto them. When they happen, we believe that they're going to last forever. When in reality, they're like waves on the shore that come and go. Some are pleasant, some are neutral, and some are unpleasant. The pleasant emotions we want more of. The neutral, we ignore them. I mean, if I ask you, what did you do last, Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock, what are you going to say?
I have no idea.
Yeah, no idea. Yeah. Most of our lives is neutral. Most of our lives, nothing happens. And what we do, we ignore it. All that part of our lives. Every day comes and goes. There's hours in our day we do nothing, but we ignore it. But the problem is that we spend most of our time with our unpleasant emotions. They get stuck with us, and we do it. When we experience something unpleasant, we usually use fear or anger to deal with these situations. We tend to blame others. We worry. We feel guilt, shame, embarrassment, humiliation. The circle itself never ends.
Absolutely.
Now, anger itself usually is the most difficult emotion that shows up the most because we like anger. You know, anger makes us feel righteous, makes us feel victorious. But at the end of the day, it's something that creates a bigger problem for us. And that is later on, when we feel that anger and we feel justified in our anger, later on we feel guilt, shame, and embarrassment. Those are the things that happen. Now, in the workplace, it becomes a bigger problem because there's something called emotional contagion that creates a problem. Emotional contagion is not only am I upset and I'm angry, but that anger itself fills out to other people. When I come to work and I'm angry, guess what happens to the person next to me? They feel it, so they get angry. And the person across them will feel angry. And now all of a sudden you have a whole group of people there in the workplace that now dealing with anger issues and sadness. A perfect example of that is the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles.
Oh, yeah. We've all been there. We've all had situations pop up there. You've waited in line for about 2 hours and then they say, oh, you're missing this piece of paper. Come back another day.
Exactly. You've never seen a person smile at DMV, have you?
No, no, no. Even the people that work there don't look very happy.
Exactly. And that's the problem again. Now, another problem we talk about difficult emotions is our thoughts out there. Thoughts are different because they're just passing through our mind. There's no need to notice them. They're just background noise. Now, the problem though is that usually those thoughts have the emotion attached to them, and they start to fuel that fire. And then you start thinking about it, and then it becomes a feeling versus a reality. You know, just because you think it doesn't mean it's true, but for some reason we start feeling it and we think feeling is reality. Thoughts are reality, and they're not. They can be very strong, very difficult, especially when we add stories to them. We add stories to these thoughts. We get one thought in our brain that says, guess what? I didn't finish the project. Next thing you know, because I didn't get to finish the project, I'm going to get fired. Next thing you know, I'm going to be homeless, standing on the street corner with a sign, we'll work for food. And we do that with just one little thought.
Thoughts translate into fears and anxieties, and then it keeps like a domino, keeps going and going and going. It stresses you out.
Let's talk about how to handle it. This is what we do. When you have those kind of thoughts, what you can do is give that thought a label. If it's worrying, worry. If it's sadness, sadness. If you have overcritical thoughts, you label them that way. That makes the difference. Just label those thoughts. And again, what I'm going to talk about now is one of the biggest mindfulness tools out there that we use that really work with a negative emotion, difficult thought, and it's called RAIN. It is an acronym, RAIN.
Okay.
Okay.
What does that stand? What does that stand for, Kevin?
Sure. R in RAIN stands for recognize. Because awareness of the emotion you have to be aware of it. Just by acknowledging. If right now, if I'm angry, if I'm fearful, if I'm sad, you label it that way. You say it's sadness. You say it's anger, and you label it. And then the A is for accept. Can you accept that emotion being there? Can you accept it? If you can accept it, then you move on. You did a good job. You're okay. Just accept, just recognizing that emotion. Because guess what? We all have emotions. You know, we have good emotions and we have negative and positive emotions. But recognize them, that emotions are there, and we acknowledge it. We have to acknowledge because we all have them. No matter who you are, you're going to have anger, sadness, happiness, joy. You're going to have all these emotions. They're going to come and go. Label them, acknowledge them. And then you investigate them. The I is investigation. Get curious about that emotion. Get curious about what is happening. What does it feel like? Can you feel it in your chest? Can you feel it? Where is that emotion happening at? Does it move around? Does it feel the same? Once you investigate it and understand it, again, it diminishes it. So if you recognize it, you accept it, you investigate it, each step you take helps to diminish the emotion. And the N stands for not identify. Not identify means this. I am sad, but I'm not a sad person. I am angry, but I'm not an angry person. What we do is we identify with that emotion, which creates shame, guilt, embarrassment, humiliation. Just because you feeling a certain emotion doesn't mean you are that emotion. And that's what you have to do. So those are the way to kind of deal with difficult emotions. And again, at work, every day at work, we feel these things. We have people who feel frustrated, angry, anxious. And these things have to be dealt with. And if you don't deal with it, they become a serious problem for the company itself. Using RAIN, recognize, accept, investigate, and not identify, is the way of dealing with difficult emotions in the workplace.
Great.
And finally, we have communication, effective communication. Because when you're at work, communication with others is the most challenging part of the job. It's easy to shut down coworkers because of their mood or attitude. It takes mental awareness to not get emotionally involved or entangled in this situation. Okay? Instead of reacting to these difficult emotions out there, you have to take the time out, take the pause, take a deep breath, and then you proceed. That's how you do it. Don't react. We have a difficult time. We do want to react all the time. We can start by imagining that these other people out there have these insecurities and emotional issues. All we have to do is take time out and pause. Mindful listening and mindful speaking is a core element to keep healthy communication going. One key thing is concentration in it. You have to be able to have concentration is another important part of communication, because again, when we don't concentrate, we have a task to do. When we're communicating with each other, concentration is important, because when we get a project that's challenging, instead of staying focused on that challenge, instead of staying focused on it, we lose interest.
And concentration helps us stay involved and stay present, like what you were saying.
Exactly. Yes, yes. And so when we talk about proving concentration, we talk about, again, when we communicate, this is all about communicating to different people. In order to do it, one thing we have to do is that when we're talking to somebody, when we're listening to somebody, do not check your emails, do not go to social media, or do any tasks while we are working. What you want to do is, while you're at work or while you talk to somebody, ignore all the alerts, all the beeps, everything on your phone.
All the distractions that are, and multitasking, that's what people try to do, but that doesn't always work out so well when you're going in 5 directions.
Exactly. Now, we're going to finish this with something called equanimity, okay? We're going to finish it with that. Normally, when I finish these type of topics, I usually finish with celebration. Celebration is the way I kind of pull all this thing together. Today, we'll talk about something called equanimity, because what that does is that it balances everything together. It brings all the things we talk about together. It brings an even-mindedness, stability, calm, in spite of the uncertainty we live in right now. We live in uncertain times, and equanimity is a way to bring this peacefulness. It's an understanding that things are as they are. It's the willingness to be with things within the present moment.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, we all strive for balance in our lives. We have these daily routines where we come in, we enjoy ourselves, we enjoy family and friends, we watch television, we connect with people. And the great thing, we have options. But the question is, do we really have options out there? There's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's a lot of distraction out there. There's a lot of technology out there. Are we balanced? I mean, when I try to watch something on TV that's unique, I have about 1,000 channels to look at. Right? I go to channel 1032 to look at HBO on demand. And I still have nothing to watch.
Yeah, it's still something you've seen before, right?
I have Netflix, I have Hulu, I have Amazon, and all that stuff, right? And it's still nothing. So is it really possible for us to really be balanced and happy at all? Can we have this inner peace we're looking for and maintain this balance? That's the thing that's important. That's what we're talking about when we talk about what equanimity is. It is, can we achieve that balance? Is there a skillful way to do it? Well, science itself has shown the importance of cultivating these positive emotions, like equanimity, for a general sense of well-being. It's a natural quality itself, okay? And that's what's really, really important here. Cultivating positive emotions out there is a way for us to move on, to move past these things. And equanimity right now is one of the most important pieces in there, because it gives us an overall balance itself. Now, the perfect example of that, the perfect example of what we're talking about, is something called the Serenity Prayer. Are you familiar with the Serenity Prayer at all?
No, I'm not, Kevin.
Okay, Serenity Prayer is this. It's grant me the serenity to accept things that I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You heard that before, right?
Yes. Now, okay. Yeah, I didn't realize it was called the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah, and that's what this is all about. At the end of the day, it is really about that, accepting the things. If we do that, that is what mindfulness is all about. And that's what this whole topic today was all about. So.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for a very interesting webinar. Very fascinating information that you went over today that can help everybody in their day-to-day lives and at work. And if anybody would like to listen to today's webinar again, I put a link up on our website, kdisonline.com. You can listen to it over and over again. And I'm going to also email you the PowerPoint. I did want to mention my email address is sbranson@kdins.com. So happy to accept an email from you. And in August, please join us in August on August 24th as we do another special webinar called Meet the Underwriters. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you for a great webinar. Thank you so much for a lot of fascinating information. And thanks everybody for joining us, and have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Sherry.
Take care.